If you're planning to keep your next SUV for 8 or 10 years, the 2026 Subaru Forester Hybrid might quietly be one of the smartest decisions you can make. Not the fastest, not the flashiest, but possibly the lowest regret SUV of this entire cycle. Because when you actually live with a vehicle long-term, the priorities tend to shift. What initially feels exciting on a test drive often fades. What remains is usability, predictability, and the quiet confidence that the car will simply keep doing its job. That's exactly the tension many SUV buyers are wrestling with today, and it's precisely where the Forester Hybrid positions itself. Spend a few years with this vehicle in your driveway, and the experience is likely to feel deliberately uneventful in the best possible way. Cold mornings, school runs, grocery trips, highway slogs, the Forester Hybrid is engineered to make all of these feel routine rather than demanding. The hybrid system isn't tuned to impress with aggressive acceleration. Instead, it smooths out low-speed driving, reduces fuel stops, and lowers the day-to-day friction of ownership. And that matters more than many buyers initially expect. Now, step back and look at the design philosophy. The 2026 model doesn't chase dramatic styling trends. Visibility remains excellent. The upright proportions prioritize interior space, and the overall shape still reflects the practical idea that long-time Subaru buyers tend to value. This is a vehicle designed to age gracefully in both appearance and function, an important but often overlooked factor for owners planning a decade-long relationship. Inside, the same thinking continues. The technology is present, but it generally serves a purpose rather than demanding attention. Controls are logical. The driving position is natural. The infotainment system aims for usability over novelty. None of this is headline material, but over years of ownership, these decisions tend to reduce fatigue and frustration. Let's pause for a second, because this is where the Forester Hybrid's real strategy becomes clear. In today's compact SUV market, many competitors are chasing short-term showroom appeal, bigger screens, sharper styling, stronger headline power figures. But a growing group of buyers, especially those thinking 8 to 10 years ahead, are starting to prioritize something else: long-term reliability paired with predictable daily usability. The Forester Hybrid leans directly into that shift. From an ownership cost perspective, the hybrid system is less about dramatic savings and more about steady efficiency. Over time, reduced fuel consumption in city driving and the typically conservative engineering approach should contribute to lower running stress. It's not positioned as the absolute cheapest SUV to operate, but it aims to be one of the most consistently manageable. Midway through ownership, this is where many vehicles either build trust or start to erode it. And here's the perspective shift. Viewed purely as a spec sheet, the Forester Hybrid may look modest. But viewed as a long-term ownership tool, its value proposition becomes much clearer. The standard all-wheel drive system continues to be a meaningful differentiator in climates where weather changes quickly. Ride comfort favors compliance over sportiness. And the hybrid assistance helps smooth the kind of stop-and-go driving that dominates real-world use. In other words, the vehicle is optimized for the miles most people actually drive, not the moments they occasionally brag about. Resale confidence is another quiet strength. Historically, Subaru's core products have maintained relatively stable residual values, largely because the brand attracts repeat buyers who prioritize durability and practicality. If that pattern holds, the 2026 Forester Hybrid is likely to remain a relatively low-risk ownership bet 5 to 7 years down the line. But clarity also means acknowledging who this SUV is not for. If your primary goal is strong straight-line performance, or if you want the most visually dramatic compact SUV in the segment, the Forester Hybrid will probably feel underwhelming. Likewise, buyers who prioritize cutting-edge cabin theatrics may find competitors more immediately exciting. But for the buyer who is quietly thinking ahead, the one imagining school schedules, weekend errands, winter mornings, and long highway years, the equation looks different. And that brings us back to the core tension. Many SUV shoppers start the process chasing excitement, but over time, a significant number begin to value something else: stability, predictability, and the absence of ownership headaches. The 2026 Forester Hybrid doesn't try to win the emotional sprint. Instead, it positions itself to win the ownership marathon. For the right buyer, the patient, pragmatic one planning years ahead, that may ultimately matter far more than peak performance ever could.